What is going on, everyone? What's going on? My apologies for being a little bit late, but life is different over here in the Elevated Lawnscapes headquarters. Life is a little bit different than what it was. So yeah, I had to take care of a few things on the on the back end here. But hope all of y'all are having a good one. We are gonna get into this one, and we're gonna talk about one of the topics that is a pretty hot topic right now as we go into spring, and it's gonna be, hey, it's about that time for the fertilization. So if y'all can just chime in, let me know if y'all got me loud and clear. Let me know. Let me know if y'all are here in the chat. Um, what you got going on? Let me see who's here. I know we got a couple people here, so let me know if you hear me loud and clear and everything. Um, but yeah, so I posted some pictures today of the lawn. What the lawn is looking like. It's waking up nicely. And as we say this time of year, man, it's almost go time. It is almost go time. Let me make sure volume's turned down on that. All right. Um, but one of the things is, I know I made a post about it today, and I don't know if you read my captions, but right now is one of those times of the year where you should really be. Uh, it's one of those times of the year that you should question some of the product claims or fertilizer claims that are being made. If you are talking to your local supplier, or if your local content creator or your favorite content creator, if there are claims out there that, hey, this is going to green up your lawn, it's going to wake up your lawn, um, the main factor right now that's doing the heavy lifting is the weather. Like the weather is the main thing that's doing it right now. I've got some of my client lawns that are greener than mine, and they have had not an ounce of fertilizer on them. They haven't had anything. The only thing is, we finally got into some warmer temperatures for a couple of days. And the good thing about that is, it's gonna wake the lawn up. It's gonna give it more sunshine. That's one of the things that's really driving the results of green up right now is the weather. We talked about it in our last live about the cool season growth pattern, and right now we're starting to get into that increase in the growth rate of cool season lawns. So that's going to happen. We're about to get into the spring flush where the cool season lawns are going to naturally want to grow, and they're going to grow. So in this live, we're going to talk about the fertilization behind that. We're going to talk about some of the timing that is involved with that, and when you should be doing it, and things that you should be looking out for. So yeah, that's one of the things. It's just be hesitant. Like a lot of these products and stuff like fertilizer right now isn't really doing the heavy lifting right now. It's just the fact that we've got warmer temps. We're getting more sunshine. We're getting longer days. Um, Sun staying up till even before the time change. It was still up and shining up till about 6:30. So longer days, more sunshine for the plant to photosynthesize. So uh, yeah, that's all I wanted to go for there. I'm gonna check in the chat and see what's going on. All right, a lot of y'all confirmed. Y'all have got me loud and clear there. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Good evening. All right, how's everybody doing? I think I'm the only Cincinnati Red fans here in the whole state of Connecticut. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm not really a baseball fan. I do like the Reds hat though. I was about to actually put on the Washington Nationals. I got um, little special color combo that I was about to put on, but I changed up and I went with the Reds today. So I'm not gonna say I'm a baseball fan. I did play a lot of baseball. I respect the game of baseball. I will watch some baseball, but I wouldn't consider myself a fan out there. So I don't really have a team. So you'll catch me. I think the last live I might have had on. Did I have on a Braves hat? I think I had on my Braves hat the last time. So yeah, you'll see me wearing one thing that I won't do. You won't see me wearing multiple football hats because it still is all the way, baby. It still is all the way. That's the only football hat that you will see me wearing is going to be Steelers. And I'm happy with the moves that we're making in the offseason. Yes, sir. Um, we got to do something different, and I'm okay with it. Call Russell washed up if you want to, whatever the case may be. I don't think that's the case, but uh, we need to do something different, and I'm okay with it. All right, now let's get into the lawn. Seeing if we had any initial questions that came in. All right, I am going to try to keep this down to an hour. That's what we're gonna do. I reduced my number of slides. I'm gonna try to keep this down to an hour. We're gonna run through it. If you do have questions or anything, pop them in the chat. I am going to get to those. And again, let me know from a feedback perspective of do you like the slide type content when I do my lives, or would you just like me to kind of free flow, freestyle it a little bit more? I do like having the lives because the slides to go with the live stream because it gives me a little bit of structure so I don't get too far off, even though I just did talking about baseball and football. So the slides definitely do help me stay a little more on track. All right, let's get ready to get into the slides and let's talk about some fertilization. That's just one of the things that we all must do in a lawn. That's one of the things that's important for the health and the growth. But all fertilization is not created equal. So we're gonna jump into this thing as I get my slides up and going here, and we're gonna talk about some things that I think is gonna be useful for you're a first time homeowner or a first time lawn care enthusiast, or if you just want your lawn to be better than what it was before. We're going to talk about a few things here today. I think that's going to be very universal to be able to help you in that quest that you're going off of. And it also may save you a couple of dollars. So let's go ahead and get into it. And here are the topics that we're going to talk about today. And as soon as I get my screen together the way that I want it, we're going to go ahead and get into it. All right. So what we are looking at for these 4 topics is going to be understanding fertilizer, kind of reading the label, what's there, the information that's going to be presented to you, your application method. We're going to go through 2 of those, the timing of fertilization, and then we're going to get into some Maryland specific regulations, which Maryland definitely probably has more restrictions than most states do on fertilization. And this is not only applicable to just professional or pro applicators. It also applies to the average homeowner. There are regulations that you should be following as a homeowner that is applying a fertilizer. All right, so understanding the fertilizer. So when we look at a fertilizer, you're going to see 3 numbers on the bag. That's going to be your N, P, and K. Those are going to be the 3 numbers that you see. It may be like a 30-0-10 may be what you see on the fertilizer. So your first number is going to be for your nitrogen. And the nitrogen, in my opinion, is really the foundation of a fertilizer. The thing about this is the source of that nitrogen is going to be the most important thing, in my opinion. Actually, for all of these, the source of that nutrient that's in the bag is more important than the brand that is on the fertilizer bag. Because if you think about it, most of the sources of these individual nutrients that are going into the bags are getting mined in bulk from probably the same locations. So at the end of the day, some of the post processing and marketing is really what is behind maybe the price that you're paying for a certain fertilizer. But the thing is, a lot of it's coming from the same original mining sources. There are some post processing that can be done that can also change the way that certain fertilizers actually perform. So nitrogen, that's going to be your first number on the bag that you're going to see, and also, in my opinion, the foundation of your fertilizer. And you can also run a nitrogen only fertilization plan and not address any of these other three nutrients, which is a very cheap way of doing it, and you could still get some pretty good results from just you running that same program. I talked about it in my last live, and that would be like using an AMS, ammonium sulfate, or running a straight urea fertilization program. You will see that urea would be like a 4600, or a AMS would be more so like a 2100, or that stay green that's a 20.500. So those are also options when it comes to fertilization. So the next number on the bag is going to be your P, or your phosphorus, which can help with the establishment. But the thing with phosphorus is it can definitely have a negative impact on the environment when it is over applied or overused. This is also in combination with your organic type fertilizers. A lot of your organic fertilizers actually have a higher phosphorus content than some of your synthetics, just based off of the organic material that's in there. So be careful when you're applying your organics, and making sure that you're monitoring your phosphorus levels in your soil. Here in Maryland, we do have regulations of on phosphorus, just because we're definitely close by the bay. And with that, we are regulated on phosphorus that if you are in the optimal or excessive range, you cannot, by regulation, apply any phosphorus. You have to be on the low or deficient level before you can actually apply a phosphorus, a fertilizer with phosphorus, including inorganic, i.e. compost. So yeah, that is one of the things that phosphorus can have a negative impact on the environment. So let's make sure, as good stewards of the land, and I know we all have just a small piece of it, let's make sure that we're monitoring that and we're applying it appropriately. The next thing is going to be the third number on the bag, which is your potassium. That's also called your K. It does provide some benefit to the plant in stress in some scenarios, some, but not all. And there are specific scenarios of where you will actually see a response to potassium. But as a whole, potassium really could be reduced in the amount that most applications are made. I know that's one of the things that I've actually looked at doing, is making sure that I'm not just applying potassium just to apply it. So one of the things could be using a fertilizer that is maybe like a 2-to-1 N to K ratio. That's nitrogen to potassium. So maybe you got the fertilizer is 30-0-15 for your potassium. So maybe going something along those routes. I normally, in the past, I've ran 19019, which has been a pretty standard fertilizer that I've ran last season. Still got some of it left, so I'm going to finish up using that. And I will probably look for something with a lower potassium content if I can save me a couple of dollars. So if I can have a little less nutrient in the bag that really may not be giving me a benefit, being that most of the lawns have sufficient potassium in the soil. If I can save me a couple of dollars, hey, I'm all about it. That's the best way for us to go. So uh, that is going to be your basic micronutrients. The last one there. So micronutrients typically are not on the bag. On the front side, a part of that NPK ratio, but you will be able to find it when you flip the bag over. You will see those micronutrients listed on the label. So we'll get into a label here. The thing with micronutrients is your application method is very important for that, i.e. iron. A lot of your iron sources, which I've been saying this for a number of years after reading some research once I got into a little deeper into the lawn game here, just making sure that you are getting the most bang for your buck. Most of your iron sources and chelations are better performed from a green up with a liquid source. A lot of your micronutrients that you find in a granular form are not actually available for the plant to uptake in the current form. So another thing to look at when I look at a bag of fertilizer, I'm gonna be honest, I really ignore the micronutrients that's there. And if I'm looking at a granular, if I'm concerned with micronutrients, I'm gonna turn to a liquid source. That's one of my things there. So with that, we'll segue right into a label. Again, I don't have anything against Scott's at all. Um, I'm good with Scott's, so I know I've used Scott's examples a number of times, but I'm trying to be more. Uh, I'm trying to relate more to the average homeowner, right? I actually intentionally looked up, hey, what's the first fertilizer that you apply in the Scott's 4-step program? And this is it. So this is what they're recommending. So you can see it's a Scott's Turf Builder halts. So that's their crabgrass preventer there, which is pendimethalin, I think is what they run in their halts. So the analysis is a 30-0-4, 30% nitrogen, 0% phosphorus, 4% potassium. So you actually see that here on the label, and you will find this label on all bags of fertilizer and liquids also. So as you look at it, it gives you the breakdown of that 30%. When I look at a label, this right here, the nitrogen portion, and then the derived from portion are the most important pieces of determining if that's a fertilizer I'm going to use or not. Those are the two pieces that I look for directly. And the reason for that is it tells me how the fertilizer is going to perform, when it's going to release, how quickly it's going to release, and it also tells me what the sources of those nutrients are. That's what you get from the derived from statements down here. So as we walk through it, we can see we've got ammoniacal nitrogen, which is your AMS source, which I've talked about. You've got your urea nitrogen, which is the 4600 that I've talked about. Urea, it's the same thing. And then you have your other water soluble nitrogen and water insoluble nitrogen. So as you look at these asterisks here, both of these have two asterisks by it. So let's go down and see what that actually tells us. contains 6.6% slowly available nitrogen from methylene ureas. So again, you don't see methylene ureas listed here, do you? This is where we get that information from right here, looking at it. And then it's also listed in our derived from, you see urea, methylene urea listed here. So your methylene urea is going to be the slow release portion of it. So as people talk about a slow release type fertilizer, this is where that's letting us know how much of that is going to be slow release and give us a longer feed. Methylene ureas, they actually take longer to break down. It takes more of a reaction in the soil for it to break down than your quick release nitrogen sources like your ammoniacals and urea. So if we look at it, most of this fertilizer that we're looking at is quick release. Ammoniacal, quick release. Urea, quick release. Smaller percentage of slow release in this bag. So that tells me when I put this down, I'm going to get a pretty quick response from it. That's once it's watered in and it actually starts to go to work, I'm going to get a pretty quick response from it. Especially your urea is probably one of the quickest response nitrogen sources, along with your AMS right behind it. This is what I look for in a fertilizer. I'm a fan of AMS, as I've talked about previously. Reason being, I also get another nutrient with it, that being sulfur. That's also where you're getting your sulfur content from, because you've got some AMS in there. That's the reason that you're able to get that additional nutrient, which is why I also like running AMS. A lot of lawns also could be seeing a sulfur deficiency, which could be impacting their response to greening up. But yeah, so this is the important information that I look for when I go take a look at a label and trying to understand how this fertilizer is going to respond. Do I want to purchase it? Do I want to buy it and use it? And the thing being, that also factors into price. So if I'm looking at a bag of fertilizer that is mostly quick release nitrogen sources, and the pricing is pretty expensive, even though this one here has, not just particularly talking about this one also has a herbicide in it also. But if all that's in there is AMS and urea, there's not anything else really in the bag, you can go buy those from your local ag supply store, your local turf supply store, typically for a cheaper price if these are the only things that are in there. That's just one thing that you can look for. And also, if you're looking for quick release nitrogen sources, a lot of times when you start to look at in the fall, when you want to get nutrients into the plant, we're starting to get ready to go into the winter. You want to make sure that you're getting those nutrients into the plant. You want to be looking for these quick release nitrogen type sources. And then those quick release sources are things that are really important for you to know how it's going to respond and when it's going to respond. Even though they're quick release doesn't mean that they have a short longevity of them. It just means that they're going to break down and be readily available for the plant, quicker to uptake and use. All right, so that's reading the label and just kind of understanding some of the information that is there on the bag. I've been seeing a lot of comments and stuff come in. So before we run over to our next topic, which is going to be application method, I'm going to pause right here, scroll through the chat, and just kind of see what we've got going on right now. So before we slide to the next slide, what we got looking. Yeah, Braves. Yeah, it has been wet. It's been wet here through the winter. It's starting to dry out a little bit, but I've actually got some moss growing in some areas of my lawn, even actually in the front yard. So, yeah, it's been pretty wet. Been pretty wet here too. Um, yeah, Charles, I see y'all are growing down there in VA. Yeah, man, it's if you've got the warmer temps and everything, it's with warmer temps and some good rain, grass is gonna start growing. It is just gonna grow. Uh, AJ, all right, you got a quick question there. Um, am I a fan of preen or snapshot or preen? I think I'm gonna go with I don't know. It depends on what I'm doing. A lot of times, if I've got a large area, which I do, I've got a lot of beds to actually treat. When I do, I had some preen left over from a previous job that I was doing, so I've been using that up. But if I'm going to be buying it, given I've got a large amount of area, I would go with Snapshot because you can just buy it in a bigger bag, and this goes further and it's a little cheaper, honestly, than buying that much of preen as an equal. All right, so that's that one. Uh, uh, David, you were asking what you can use. Hold on, let me fix. Let me fix this. I think something is off here. Let me fix something real quick so y'all can actually see the comments that's coming in. Yeah, let me go in here and all right, boom. Let me get that fixed. We should be good to go. So you can actually see the actually see the questions that I'm answering here. Cool. All right. So now that we got that up, what can I use for pour this fall granular and liquid products? You could go a pre-emergent for one, using just your go-to pre-emergent in the fall. With that being said, you would not be able to overseed. If you were planning to overseed, you could look at using ethofumicate as an option in the fall. That's the best time to be able to use those. And there is a product I think that is about to come to market. I've kind of been hearing about it. That's coming from New Farm. That will actually be labeled for residential turf. But there are certain states that it is not registered for use in. I don't have a lot of information on it just yet. I am still researching it. So when I have more info on that, I will probably be bringing it to you all. But right now, ethofumicate and a pre-emergent and not overseeding is kind of what kind of the part that I think where we at. Those are your options, and those are liquid. That is going to be a liquid product. Uh, fish fertilizer. Fish fertilizer with kelp safe for applying now in spring. Sure. Um, Again, the fish fertilizer, it does have a depends on if your lawn is actively growing because that's basically a fertilizer. Again, wait until you're actively growing and your soil temps are up and it's time for you to apply a fertilizer. So that's what you're going to look for. Any fertilizer, it doesn't matter what it is. make sure your lawn is actively growing to where it can uptake it and actually utilize the nutrients that you've got out there. So, yeah, if you are within that scenario, go for it. Do I actually come out and do? Damn, I don't know what's going on with this thing. Then I don't know what's going on with this tonight. Uh, Trying to make sure you all can actually see the comments that are coming in that I'm putting up. Let's see if I do this. See if that works. Do I actually come out and do lawn consults? Yes, I do. If you are in the local Maryland area, you can shoot me an email, Cameron at elevatedlawnscapes.com. And yeah, I do actually come out and do lawn consultations. So that can be arranged. Um, barricade is, yeah, that's an option. It's prodiamine. Just this trade name barricade. It's prodiamine. That is what you can use as a pre-emergent, but you won't be overseeding if you are going that route. So Wujo's Lawn and Property Service. Yeah, good. You got a degree in it, and in turf grass. Been managing championship golf courses for 20 plus years. Congratulations. I aspire to be able to get there at some point. I'm not sure I'm gonna get 20 years on a golf course though, but my background in lawn care. So I have been so I've been studying at University of Georgia on there with their online turf management program. So I've been running a lawn care business. Call it turf management is where I'm focused at. I've been doing that for 3 years now, and learning as I go from research and building my experience, just like you've built your experience on the golf courses. So yeah, you that hands-on experience. I'm just sharing my path and the things that I've learned, the things that I've seen out in the field, and I'm continuing to grow my business right now. I'm actually getting pretty excited because tomorrow I may be expanding and bringing in a new piece of equipment to the business. So we'll see how that goes if everything pans out. But yeah, I'm growing my business and trying to learn as much as I can from the data that's out there and pairing that with the experiences that I'm getting in the field. So yeah, congratulations on that. I know you've got a lot. I've got a lot that I probably can learn from you. So if you've got any tips and tricks and stuff or want to tag up, have a call, I'm here. I'm here for it. I'm all ears for learning. How's it going, Grace? I see you in here, Super TA. What's going on, Super TA? Yeah, man, we're greening up. We are definitely greening up. Um, okay. I think I am caught up on the chat, and I think we're good there. All right, so we're gonna press on. I know I've got a couple that do. Hey Brent, man, it's not a permagreen. It's not a permagreen. I can tell you that is not a permagreen. I'm not at permagreen level yet. I'm still trying to grow. I'm still trying to grow. I haven't reached permagreen status quite yet, but hopefully one day we're getting there. we're getting there. I might need to save some steps here in a little bit. So I might be in the market for one. All right, so let's jump back into it and just kind of go through what we've got left. All right, so application method. So for the average homeowner, you've got two options. You've got your granular, and then you've got a liquid. So given your granular, in my opinion, this is going to be the most user-friendly version of being able to get your fertilizer down. Really, all you need is a spreader, and most homeowners actually have a spreader. And that's really all you need. You don't have to do any mixing or anything like that. Also, from a granular perspective, you get you get more done. You're able to put down higher rates rather than your liquid. So getting down a half a pound of N from a liquid, yeah, it's going to be a lot of product, and also you're going to have the water volume to be able to carry that much in to be able to get it down safely and effectively. So if you're trying to get down half a pound, three quarters of a pound of in, uh, going down at those higher application rates are just easier. I like to call it pounds on the ground with a granular. So in being able to do that, it's also probably more cost effective than when you compare it to liquid applications. Again, you can get urea AMS very, very cheap, and you can get a larger amount of it. Again, in my last live, we talked about using the AMS. It was $25, and you can get 8 pounds of N. That's not per thousand. That's total 8 pounds of N out of one bag for $25. Like that's you won't be able to get that much nitrogen from a liquid source. So depending on how you actually get those fertilizers, what the derived from, or if it's post processed, you can get a longer feed from like a slow release type nitrogen source. With that, that's going to be your granular option. And again, for your average homeowners, this is very cost effective, very user friendly for your average homeowner to do. Uh, Very, very simple once you kind of get your square footage down and you get the hang of just using a spreader. So then we can go over to our liquids. So when you're applying liquids, a lot of times they are definitely more optimal for like your spoon feeding method or getting smaller amounts of nutrients down. With that, that's what I like to do, especially through the summer. I like to be able to go ahead and add those small amounts of nutrients. And then also right now in the springtime, where you're not really trying to push a lot of growth because the lawn's going to want to grow on its own. And you're just giving it just a little bit of nutrients just to help kind of support it. Liquid applications can definitely be beneficial for that. Again, it's not as cost effective as being able to get pounds on the ground versus when you compare it to your granular. And you can also get quicker absorption of the nutrients into the plant. For foliar applications, you can look at a large percentage of those nutrients being absorbed and into the plant within the first 6 hours or so. You've gotten a lot of that absorbed into the plant already. When I turn to my liquids, I'm really looking for those for my micronutrient applications, i.e., especially iron. So if I am looking for a little green up, or if I need to get some extra color out of a lawn for an event or whatever the case may be, yeah, I will turn to liquid for my micronutrients, and that's iron is really the only one that I'll be looking for. The thing with that, with using a liquid, it does take some mixing. typically you're going to have to get a backpack to have a backpack sprayer or get a backpack sprayer. The thing with Simple Lawn Solutions is they actually have your hose in. So that can be a more effective way of applying it for the average homeowner, where you already have your spray nozzle and everything already attached to it. You just hook it up to your hose, and all you've got to do is spray it that amount of fertilizer over the proper square footage to get the application rate correct. And that's also a easy way for a homeowner to enter into the liquid spray application standpoint. So those are your application methods that we've got here from applying the nutrients that we need for our lawn. So the third topic here we're going to talk about is going to be fertilization timing. So I was kind of looking around, reading some articles and stuff from some local extension offices and some turf grass programs. And I found this one here from Purdue, and I kind of like the format of it, and I like the way that they presented the information. And I'm just going to highlight a couple of things over here. In the first column that you see here that's highlighted in red, it's got your total annual nitrogen. So this is since it's at Purdue, it's going to be relative to that state and also their regulations. So looking at it, I will point out, if you're looking at the annual N amount, Maryland rates are capped at 3 pounds per 1,000 square feet of N on an established lawn. So as we get into the next slide and we talk about Maryland specific regulations, this is one. So if you're looking at this chart where it says 2 to 4, if you're in Maryland, you're capped at 3 pounds of N annual on an established lawn beyond 2 years. And that does not count for overseeding either. So it has to be a newly established lawn. So what you will see is, as we go through the early spring and spring standpoint, you're not putting down a whole lot of N. Anywhere from 0 to max, 1.25 pounds. Yeah, 1.25 pounds here. And I say this is low maintenance, moderate maintenance. I would call the moderate maintenance here your average homeowner. They probably wanted a little bit. Most people, if you're applying the applications yourself, you're looking for something a little better than average. So if we kind of look at here, I like some of the descriptions that they add for the management practice. You're returning the clippings. They're not irrigated. These are things that can definitely factor into your fertilization requirements. So I really liked the way that they put this together. I will say job well done, Purdue. Job well done on this one. And then as you look at it, going through the early spring, as we're talking, through mid-June, you're either nothing or maybe up to 1.25 pounds. And that's about it. And then for these average homeowner, non-irrigated type scenarios, they're not recommending anything through the June hot summer period. I can understand where they're coming from with that recommendation, being that it's not irrigated. That's probably going to be the hottest, most stressful into some drought-like conditions. So I could understand that if it's not irrigated. And then you will see that the heaviest fertilization is in the fall for a cool season lawn. I've said it before. This is kind of some information to back that up. Your fertilization, heaviest fertilization for cool season lawns should be in the fall. In the spring, all we're doing is trying to support it. That's all we're trying to do. After the spring flush, typically the lawn has extended and it's utilized a lot of nutrients during that spring flush. So it's going to be a little hungry. So that'll probably be the time to feed it right before we get ready to go into the summertime. Because you don't want to want to send it into the summer stressed and hungry. So I typically like to, after the spring flush and things have kind of mellowed out a little bit, and go ahead and get a nice feed on the lawn before we get into the spring. And when I say a nice feed, I'm talking quarter pound, maybe a half a pound tops if you haven't had anything else on it. And then we kind of look for some of our higher input. If this, I call this our lawn enthusiast category down here on the bottom, because the reason being, the big difference is you're going to fertilize through that summer period. And fertilizing through that summer period, the reason for that is because you're going to be irrigated, and making sure that you're getting that irrigation down. The lawn's not going to be under stress as much because it's going to have or be under those drought like conditions. So it's going to have the water that it needs, and it'll also be in a healthier state. So that's where it's saying we're looking at through the summer. Even then, either 3/4 of a pound, a pound is probably a little high, but if you're going for this high rate right here, which is probably going to be more of your uh, like your athletic field type scenarios, not necessarily homeowner. I would probably say homeowners, where even from a higher maintenance, you're probably going to be in this category here through the summertime, maybe getting down another half a pound through the summer. So making sure you're taking a look at these things. Like, this is one of those charts that when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I like this. I think this is something that'll definitely be helpful to the community, to the average homeowner that's out there, and even our seasoned lawn enthusiasts. I was looking for something like this that would be good information, easy to digest, to be able to guide people on when they should fertilize and how much they should fertilize. So again, I'll say credit given to Purdue Extension on this one. I didn't create it. I'm not taking credit for any of it. I'm just sharing this information out there for you. If you're looking for a fertilization schedule, like when should I apply and how much should I apply, here's a nice schedule for you right here that is even laid out by month, period. So yeah, I like this one, and I think this is some good information here for you to be able to utilize. All right, and we're gonna get into the last topic that we've got here for this one before we jump back in and answer some of the questions that you may have. Maryland specific regulations. So this is directly from the Maryland website, and these are the recommendations there. You, even as a homeowner, as a licensed applicator, I have to follow these, and we've got to document and report all of our applications at the end of every season. But even as a homeowner, you are required by law to follow these not recommendations, these regulations. As we look in here, for a single application, is not to exceed zero point 0.9 pounds of total N per square feet, which can include no more than 0.7 pounds of soluble N per 1,000 square feet. So I know you'll hear a lot of talk about putting down a pound of N, a pound of N. In the state of Maryland, you are not allowed to put down a pound of N unless it's down here. Unless you're looking at a EEF, which is a controlled release type fertilizer. But even at that point, the monthly release rate has to be 0.7. So if you're hearing people say and put down a pound of N, put down a pound of N in single applications, that is not allowed in the state of Maryland. And I know other states do not have this regulation, but here in the state of Maryland, we do. Um, and then when we come down to phosphorus, so phosphorus is a regulated nutrient here in the state of Maryland, and you are able to apply it when the soil test indicates it, or when the lawn is being established, patched, or renovated. So those are the times when you can put down phosphorus from a applicator standpoint. No, not even applicator, as a regulation actually. Every 3 years you must have a soil test. They consider a valid soil test within the past 3 years. So every 3 years you should be running that soil test and making sure your phosphorus levels have either gone up or they've gone down, depending on what your management practices have been. And if you are applying phosphorus with your applications, you must have a soil test in the state of Maryland. Not questionable if you can. You must have a soil test to show that you need phosphorus. So there's some other important information from a environmental standpoint. Make sure you're not using fertilizer as a de-icer. Make sure you clean up your spills. Fertilizer must be kept 10 to 15 feet away from waterways. That 10 feet is in response to if you're using a drop spreader. 15 is if you are using a broadcast spreader near a waterway. Do not fertilize lawns if heavy rain is predicted or the ground is frozen. Again, going back to your lawn should be actively growing at the time of fertilization. So that's kind of one of those things there. If you follow that recommendation, typically you satisfy this one, other than the rain. So we do have a fertilizer blackout here in the state of Maryland. So November 16th to March 1st. So we are not allowed to apply nutrients that is nitrogen and phosphorus. So you can apply potassium, but in my opinion, I don't really see a need of you applying just potassium at that time of year if you are within that blackout period. So nitrogen and potassium and phosphorus is not allowed to be applied from November 16th to March 1. So we actually just a couple of weeks ago came out of our ban from being able to apply nutrients, but it's one of those things that we really haven't had a lot of weather to actually support it. The lawns are starting to green up, but we need some more warm weather and some more sunshine before I really get out there and really start getting lawns and stuff fertilized. So again, the last note here is just to mention about our EEFs and the regulations and stuff around those. And those are in respect to those longer feed type granular fertilizers. So that brings us to the conclusion of the information that I've got here for you. I am going to jump over here to the chat, and we'll answer some more questions, and then we'll get ready to wrap this thing up, and I'll get you all out of here. So I hope you have enjoyed the content that I brought. And if you have any other questions or anything, I'm about to go through questions now. So make sure you drop those in the chat and we will run through questions. And then from there, we'll get y'all out of here. All right, scrolling. Thanks, Western Mass Turf, for the super chats. I appreciate that. I see you've jumped in here. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thanks for the super chats. Ivan, so you've got a question here. Spot spray tenacity. I am not a fan of tenacity. The only time I use tenacity or mesotrione, um, throat's a little dry here. The only time that I use tenacity is if I am doing a bare ground seeding. That is the only time I use tenacity, or if I'm using it in combination with another product for a specific type of kill on a particular weed. I think there are way more effective products out there than tenacity for just about, especially solo tenacity. I think there's way more effective products out there that'll get the job done and not give you the bleaching effect, and also just a quicker, more effective kill. So I'm not a fan of tenacity. If you've got it, use it. Uh, Results may vary. That's what I'll say about that. Um, any idea what the best way to move bent grass is from a lawn is not just a small area. So what I will say, CSAN 7. Um, Brent, I am not very familiar with this, but Western Mass Turf here in the chat has had a lot of issues with bent grass and has been dealing with bent grass. He may have answered in the chat farther down as we go, um, but I would reach out to him, maybe send him a message. I am not very familiar, and I'll say it. I'm not very familiar with removing bent grass out of cool season. Um, I know he's got some experience with it. If you want to reach out to him, he's also got a YouTube channel, Western Mass Turf. If you probably can go over there and send him a message, and he probably can give you a better recommendation on that one. I'm not familiar with that one. Grant Cooper, should I power rake with a Sun Joe in the spring? You can. I'm not a fan of it. Not. Don't. I don't do power raking or anything in the spring. If you've had a lot of snow and you're up in one of those areas where you've got a lot of you've got a lot of matting and stuff down of your existing grass, I'd say I'd say hand raking maybe, but I don't think you're. I don't think you need to do a power rake in the spring. What I have done is done my power raking in the fall. It also gives the lawn some time to recover, and it opens it up as if I want to do some overseeding. Typically, that's all I'll do is power rake and then drop my seed in on top of that. And that's been a pretty effective seeding method for me. As far as in the spring, I'm not a fan of doing it on a cool season lawn. I'm talking cool season on a cool season lawn in the spring. Dan Daniels, I'm in Owens Mills. All right, gotta know what area you're in. Is 16010 okay to use now? Um, I would hold off because all this week. I think we're supposed to be below freezing. Speaking of below freezing, I need to go out and grab some things that are growing outside and bring them into the garage. Um, I would hold off a little while. I haven't started fertilizing my lawns and stuff yet. Uh, I would hold off another week or so. Let us get through this cold snap. Because it's supposed this week is supposed to get back down. Lows are in the low 30s, near freezing. I think we got a freeze warning tonight, actually. Um, and highs are only going to be low 50s, if 50. I think on some days. So I would hold off. We're not go time yet. I would hold off and let the grass continue to green up and get it growing a little bit more where we see we've got warm temps. I think this will probably be our last cold snap, and I think we're gonna settle into some warmer weather. So I would hold off another week or two and let the probably another 2 weeks or so see what the weather looks like, and then if the weather's got us on a warming trend where we're into the upper 50s and 60s, continuing on, then I'd say go out with it. Oh, barbarian! You planted 30 arborvitaes. Woo, woo. I hope you had a. It ain't a post hole driller, but I hope you weren't doing that by hand. You know, hope you weren't digging all of those holes by hand. Hope you went and rented a tool if you had 30 of them to do, man. Can you please tell me something? Okay. Can I please tell you something to start with weed control and what product to start with? So I am going to make the assumption that you have a cool season lawn. If you do have a cool season lawn, right now for weed cleanup, I like Speed Zone. Also, Triclopyr is another one. Those are all products that are more of the commercial type products. You can go to your big box store if you're looking for a product. You can look at the label and find ones that actually have those active ingredients in it. Triclopyr, 2,4-D, dicamba. You are looking for a ester based product right now. Uh, right now, we're still in some of the cooler temperatures. Those ester based products will be highly effective right now. But you do not want to use those as we get into the warmer temperatures into the summer. So if you want to go to a big box store option, you can go check those out, looking for those active ingredients, some of the ones that I just named. And for the most part, that'll get you cleaned up. Um, you can also go over to my man's Polo Fields Lawn Service. Polo has been killing it this season already. We just getting started, and he already killing it. You can go over to his channel. He actually walks through some of those products, like from the big box store. He shows you which products they are. He shows you what's in them. He shows you what weeds they're going to be effective on. So you can go over to his channel, check that video out. I think it's one of his last 3 or 4 videos, one of them that he just dropped. So you can go check him out. I've also got a couple of videos on my channel going over effective spring weed killers that you can use right now. And I kind of walk through some of the ones that I would recommend from more of a commercial standpoint. So, yeah. All right, so I got this question here. Soil test came back with both N and K excessively low. Would you just decrease the time between the application of fertilizers to catch up? Trying to understand how to do it without causing damage in one app. So what I will say is, being that where we are in the season, your N is gonna be low, and the thing is, being that you have a nitrogen recommendation on your soil test results, tells me which soil test you took. Um, nitrogen nitrogen is one of those things that it's going to move out of the soil fairly quickly. It's going to be used up by the plant. It's going to be taken up and utilized quickly. So being that you probably haven't, coming out of winter, you haven't made any applications, I would not look at nitrogen recommendations or nitrogen results off of that soil test that you're using. I know which one it was. And I would recommend you getting a Malik 3 or a soil test from either your local extension office or using like a RX soil type soil test, or using a Logan Labs Spectrum Analytic. Some of those that are using like a Malik 3 that's more easily associated with the results that you're going to get. So would I decrease the time? No. The information that I just covered is how you want to fertilize. No matter if you're low, or this is not going to be an overnight fix. And also, when you look at your soil test, please don't chase the numbers on the soil test. Like, you want to make sure that you're fertilizing properly with your nitrogen yearly amount. So maybe 3 pounds of N, depending on where you are. 3 pounds of N per year will be enough nitrogen for a cool season lawn. And you can go at a half rate of that for your potassium, and you'll be just fine. So if you want to go 3 pounds of N and a pound and a half of potassium, that will be sufficient. So that will supply the turf what it needs to be able to perform. I don't chase the results on the soil test, especially if when we get up and growing and it's green and it looks good and it's growing. Continue with your annual fertilization amounts and use your soil test as a guide. That's exactly what it is. It's a guide and a tool, but don't chase the numbers, especially if your turf is performing well and you have a program that's working. So that's one of the things that I understood at first also. Don't try to catch up. Don't try to chase the numbers to get good numbers on your soil test. Use that as a guide and saying, all right, my potassium's low. I should be applying a fertilizer that has potassium in it. You need nitrogen, of course, but I would not say try to catch up. Make your normal applications every 4 to 6 weeks throughout the season, and just continue along there. Okay. Yeah. So again, on this one, don't try to do it in one app. Don't try to just continue fertilizing. Don't worry about trying to catch up. I just wanted to re-emphasize on that. Next thing, see what else we got. All right, let's see what else we got. Fertilizers. What would you use diesel fuel exhaust as a nitrogen source? So I know where you're going with that. You're going with the DEF. It is a nitrogen source. It is urea. It is already in your liquid form. There's nothing wrong with it. It can be used. It'll give you the same result. Would I do it? I wouldn't. I I just wouldn't. There's just other ways of doing it. I'm not saying that it can't be done, because it can. So that's where I stand on that. So Patrick, I've heard liquid pre-emergent app is better than bag granules. Uh, I feel the same also. I get a better application, better coverage from a liquid application. I can control the coverage better. I can get more uniform coverage in being able to use a liquid application, and I can get that watered in and into the soil quicker than with a granule. So I think from a coverage standpoint is where you get the better than granule. Um, Overall, it's the same. Most of them are like prodiamine granular versus a prodiamine uh, liquid. It's the same active ingredient. So I think from a better method, it may be in relation to coverage because it's the same ingredient. You can control a liquid a little better because you can control the actual amount that you're putting down better than the granule, and control your duration of how much coverage you're going to have. Doom doom. So let's see what else we got. I agree with that. Best early spring fertilizer is ammonium sulfate. You won't get any arguments from me on that one. I agree. Super TA, I see what you're saying. Hold off on the end until the end of the spring flush. Yeah, it'll be a little hungry after that spring flush. So that's kind of one of the things uh, that I'll look for, making sure I give it a good feed after that. Um, so if we're here tonight, we're probably high maintenance folks or want to be. Yeah, I know there's a lot of high maintenance people in here. But I'm also looking to relate to the average homeowner also. But yeah, man, most of us we want better than average. We want better than the next guy that's next to us in the neighborhood. So yeah, I could see that. Speed zone all the way. Yep. Yep. Some people saying that they've had good results with tenacity. Yeah, I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I do believe there's some more effect. It depends on what you're going for. Just like it was like there, everyone has different needs. Right. Like I said, like depending on what weeds you're looking to go after, um, there are definitely some more effective products and stuff that are out there than Speed Zone. But just it's a lot of options out there. Um, Jamal Richmond, I see you actually commented on one of my videos earlier, and I think I was responding to it pretty soon. Just applied my first application of Dirt Booster from Anderson's and just got in my real mower. Congratulations on the real mower. Yeah, congratulations on that. The Andersons have Andersons have uh, some good products over there. They've got some good products, but there I think there's some marketing behind some of them that are pushing the products a little harder than what I think. They're good products. Don't get me wrong. I think they're good products, but they have a lot of the basic nutrients that make it up, and what I just showed. It's a lot of AMS, a lot of urea, and quick release nitrogen sources that give you a green up. I mean, it just that's what it does. That's what nitrogen does. It does give you it'll give you a good green up. So there's no doubt about that. when you're looking to get a good response from it. So that's why you see a response to a lot of their products, because it's a good amount of quick release nitrogen sources in it. Is it a good idea? Um, is it a good idea to water the lawn right now? We're wet. We've got too much soil moisture around here right now. Like I'm not even thinking about turning my irrigation on, and it depends on where you are. 510. I'm not sure what area code that is. Not sure what area code 510 is. But typically this time of year, unless you're super dry, um, there's not a need for you to actually water your lawn right now, unless you're like watering in a product. But most irrigation systems are still turned off right now. So not sure. I don't know where 510 is. Let me know where 510. Where are you located? But if you're a cool season, yeah, I don't think it's time to start watering quite yet, unless you're south, pretty far down in the transition zone. You may be. It may be time. It's gonna be. I don't know where your location is. Um, all right. Joe McCall. Should I wait until soil temps are higher in Maryland to apply a split pre-emerge, or just put it down before the seed starts to germinate? Seeding and pre-emergence don't go together. So let me make sure I understand the or just put it down before seed starts to germinate. All right, two assumptions. One assumption is that I can take this two ways. One assumption is that you're talking about before seeds start to germinate. I'm not sure if you're seeding or if you're talking about weed seeds. So if you're seeding, don't put down a pre-emergent if you're doing spring seeding. Period. Second scenario is if you're talking about weed seeds. Right now, given our temperatures in Maryland, you should be getting your pre-emergent down. It's not time for us to start fertilizing yet, but you should be getting down your pre-emergent. Pre-emergent is we're in the fluctuations of soil temps. We've had soil temps up in the upper 50s for a couple of days. Like we've had almost a week and a half ish of soil temps in the 50s. So you should be getting down your first application of pre-emergent like that. You should definitely be getting that down. Go for it. I think we've got rain coming later this week. So get it down ahead of that rain and let it get watered in. Um, Tony Nichols on the pre-emergent. No, you don't. Pre-emergent is not temperature driven. You want to get the pre-emergent down um, before that just meant before weed seeds start to germinate. So you did that. You got it down. You're good. Your pre-emergent barrier is there. Their pre-emergent barrier is going to be there for the duration of the amount of product that you put down. I'm not sure if you went down with a liquid or if you did a granular. Whatever the case may be, you have a duration of coverage based on the amount that you put down, independent of the temperatures. It's not going to degrade because of the temperatures. You're all good. Tony was like, forget average. I want domination. um, Lunetta. Lunetta? Crispy. Lunetta. Um, do I use growing degree days when applying pre-emergence insecticides? I don't really, well, for one, I don't apply uh, insecticides and stuff to my customer lawns. I only do fertilization. But at my personal home, uh, only thing I use growing degree days for is my PGR, my plant growth regulator. As far as pre-emergence, I'm actually not applying a pre-emergent this year. So this is gonna be my first year without it. I'm testing the waters on that, and I'm not applying a pre-emergent at all this year. I've been debating it for a couple of years, and this year I decided I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger. So I'm not applying a pre-emergent this year, so I wouldn't be using it for that. Um, Insecticides, I don't use growing degree days for it. That's a way of doing it though. You can use growing degree days to time when you're going to see different insects, when you're going to see different weeds, when certain issues are going to arise. So yes, you can use that as a method. Nothing wrong with that. That's actually a pretty uh, technical and accurate way of actually doing it, because you can track what your exact growing the degree days are for that current year, and get more precise rather than like a 2 year average or a year average, 5 year average. So that's a good way of doing it. Upper 510, you're in Maryland. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say it's not time for you to water. I think your previous question was about water. Yeah, it's we've had a lot of rain here recently. My soil is soggy. I really won't even pull my big time master out to mow with it because the ground's just still too soft. So uh, yeah, I'm using the lightest thing that I've got right now to do it. Uh, Okay, Cody West. We're almost at the bottom of the list here. So answering questions. Cody just bought. Will that seed grow through wild Bermuda, or will it choke out your seed? It may start germinating and starting to grow now, but as soon as that, because the Bermuda is probably dormant right now, but as soon as that Bermuda warms up and it comes up out of dormancy, it's probably gonna take over. Um, you've got if you've got enough uh if you've got enough Bermuda there that you're concerned about it, more than likely it's gonna overtake your fescue that you bought. So I would eliminate the Bermuda, and a lot of times that's a renovation type process to really get rid of it. So I would eliminate the Bermuda and go into uh, a fall renovation. That's when I would put that seed down. I don't recommend putting that seed down right now. Um, Eliminate the Bermuda, eliminate the competition, and then you can have your cool season lawn that you're looking for, because those two are going to battle, and at the end of the day, more than likely the Bermuda's going to win. it's it is a alpha grass. It just is. A good recommendation for a pre-emergent for cool season grass. That's gonna be prodiamine. That's probably the one that I would go with. That's the one that I use the most. Prodiamine, dithiopyr is another one, also known as dimension. Prodiamine is also known as barricade. Um, the Halts product, I think that's got pendimethalin in it, as the pre-emergent. If you're looking for like a big box store option, uh, there's also Stonewall from Lesco, which is prodiamine that you can get at the big box stores, also in a granular form. But active ingredients that you're looking for is prodiamine, and also dithiapyr as cool season pre-emergence, or the pendimethalin that's in the halts. Those are all options you can use. Um, Almost there. What is the best way to fill in thin spots caused by torture? Just fertilization. Best way to fill those spots in, depends on how thin they are. Did I make a video? Yeah, I actually just made a video on repairing those thin spots. You can always drop some seed in there if it's like that thin. So you can go back and check that video out. I just dropped it actually last Sunday, on doing some repairs. So you can check that out. Or, uh, I wouldn't say pushing fertilization as an option. It will thicken up on its own if it's not very thin. Um, your lawn has been dormant, so it hasn't been growing, which is why the dog traffic damage probably looks worse now than what it will be once your lawn starts actively growing. So I don't know how bad you are looking, but you've got two options. If it's really bad, you can drop some seed in there. You can check my video out on how I recommend doing that repair. Just getting it out, weaseling it in, using a garden weasel, getting it incorporated into the soil, watering. Um, or you can allow it to thicken up on its own as it comes out of winter dormancy and really starts growing this spring, because it is going to thicken up. That's no doubt about it. All right. Rashad came on. Want to take my how to cut down to 2 inches this season with my fescue. Any recommendations on how I can thicken it up a bit at that height of cut? I don't have any issues with this. So I'm running into the same thing, Rashad. My lawn's been at 3 inches for the past 4 years now. Um, and I've got it down to an inch and a half. So I'm down to an inch and a half. I took it down to 2 inches last fall, and I kept it at 2 inches all last fall. My initial cut on the lawn was about a week and a half ago, was at an inch and a half, and I took it all the way down to an inch and a half. I cut it again yesterday at an inch and a half, and it doesn't look as good as far as a density thing goes, which is why I did a little bit of a light overseed last fall, because I had the feeling once I knocked off some of that canopy, it was gonna expose some gaps and like kind of some thinner areas. So what I'm planning to do is continue to mow, continue to fertilize, and just let this season ride out. I did drop some seed in some really thin areas that were like bare ground, that was basically a squirrel damage. They had torn the ground all up, so I was trying to repair that. But other areas that are out in the lawn that look a little thin, I'm not doing anything with them. I have KBG mixed into my fescue mixture, so I've got tall fescue and KBG mixed together. I know that KBG is going to thicken up, and once the season gets up and going, I know my lawn is going to get thicker than what it is right now. So I'm not doing anything with it. I'm gonna just fertilize throughout the season. I'm gonna let it grow, let it go like I want it to, and then see what I look like in the fall. Right now, your lawn is probably as thin as it's ever gonna be this season right now. So kind of let it ride out, let things warm up, because I think you're maybe in Ohio, Illinois, somewhere up there. I think maybe, if I'm thinking about the right, if you're the right person that I'm thinking about, I think you're somewhere up in that area. Your lawn is going to thicken up once things get growing and you get some fertilizers and stuff, some fertilizer down on it in the season. So You can drop some seed in there if you want to, or you can just be like me and ride it out and see what it looks like, and then you'll know what you need to do for the fall. At 2 inches, I feel like there's been a big change from 2 inches down to an inch and a half. I felt like at 2 inches last fall, of course, that was the fall, it was a lot thicker than what it is now. It looked a lot better at 2 inches. Right now, it looks okay. It's still waking up, and I know that. I'm just ready to see it in like another month and a half, after we've had like some 60s and 70s and some good. Yo, you're in VA. My bad. I was thinking about somebody else. There's another Rashad up there. Um, you're in Virginia. Yeah, I would ride it out, man. I honestly and get together a game plan for the fall. Changing the height of cut is different, and I'm learning too. Like, so y'all are gonna see my learning process of going down to this low mo type situation, because I feel like now that I've crossed below the 2 inch threshold, like things are gonna change. I can tell like things have changed a little bit at this inch and a half mark. I felt like at 2 inches it was still easy to deal with, but it seems a little different already at 2 inches. So those are your two options on that one. J Farm looking at using a new for the first time on this fescue. What rate and GDD would you start with? Um, I think year before last was my first year using it. Last year I was max rate. I'll be honest. I went max rate at like 300 GDDs. I think I went max rate 300 GDDs for the entire season, whole season. Um, the year before that, when I started, I was still 300 GDDs, and I think I was at the bottom end of the rate. Um, because it was my first time using it. I was unfamiliar with it. Um, I just wanted to test the waters. So you can do it the way that I did it, test the waters, and I still got pretty good suppression on it, even at the low end of the rate. But make sure you look at it, because I think they've got I think there's somewhere in there on the label rates that it recommends not going below a certain amount to get proper suppression. I think I remember seeing that on there, but I haven't read the label yet for this year. But I'll be refreshing myself up on it. So you can either go whatever the labeled recommended lowest rate is, test the waters, see how that responds for you. And then as you get a little more experience, if you want more suppression, uh, I will say at max rate, it shut it down. Like it was still growing, but it wasn't growing that much. Like it was easy for me to go out there and just nip the tips of it off. Like I probably could have went a week or so, week and a half without a cut, and it would have been just fine, and still probably wouldn't have broke the 1/3 rule. So at max rate, it does a pretty good job of shutting it down. I think max GDDs is 350. I think is the max. Don't quote me on that. I think it's 350 or 380. I think I did 300 GDDs is where I was at. So good question. I do like a new. I will be continuing to use that this year. I'm a fan of a new. Um, 40s in upstate, air temperatures in high 40s, Rocky. Um, Air temps in high 40s, Ryan KBG is greening up and growing. If you have freezing temps still, if your highs are in the 40s, you probably still have some freezing temps. I would hold off on the mowing until you're out of the freeze periods, uh, or frost periods. Because honestly, it may be growing, it may be greening up and growing slightly, but I'm pretty sure it's not like running out of control. Uh, it's not running out of control, growing to where you're gonna be breaking the 1/3 rule to get out there and cut it. I'd probably hold off until it warmed up a little bit and you got out of that freeze thaw uh, risk area. It's my take. Um, okay, VA, yeah, cool. All right, so it looks like we got down to the bottom of the list. Actually answered all the questions. Let me check time. Hour and 36 minutes. So we're better than the last time. We actually cut it in half because I had y'all here for, and I'll take the blame for it. I won't even blame it on turf. Had y'all here for 3 hours the last time. Cut it in half this time, hour and a half. So I appreciate everybody for joining. I hope this information was helpful for you, and hopes it helps you make some more informed decisions as you start to think about your fertilizer. And like I said earlier in the show, just be careful with some of the product claims that are being made this time of year. Right now, what's doing your heavy lifting is your weather. Things are warming up, lawns are greening up. Um, a lot of the products, nutrients, fertilizers, and stuff that's being put down really isn't doing the heavy lifting. Yes, it will help eventually once the lawn is up and out of dormancy, but your weather is your main determining factor right now. And that's why I keep saying, please, y'all people in the South, send us some warm weather and sunshine up here to the North because I'm ready to get like y'all. I'm ready to get like y'all and get all the brown and yucky from the winter out of the lawn, and be cutting and mowing and enjoying the lawn like y'all. So, again, I hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope the information was helpful to you. And leave me some comments on the video if you have other feedback. If you found this format useful. Again, I'm going to be going live more often this season. I'll be honest, for me, it's more convenient from a time standpoint. I can put together some presentation information for you, and then I can provide you with more in-depth information than I can in a video. So let me know if y'all are liking this format. If you like the presentation kind of walkthrough, if you have any other suggestions, hey, I'm here to provide information in a format that you all enjoy. So let me know. Yeah, let me know that kind of feedback. So y'all have a good one, and as I always say, just know we work.